Hi, and welcome to the Trobe Abroad session on Scandinavia. If you think Scandinavia, you might think midnight sun, polar bears, Vikings, all of those things. It's a fascinating region, and we have a lot of partners in Scandinavia that you might want to consider when looking at exchange. It's only going to be a short information session, but we'll touch on a few of the important aspects of exchange and Scandinavia in particular. First, we'll start with the acknowledgement of country. La Trobe University acknowledges that the land to which the Trobe Abroad team is located is on the land of many traditional custodians in Australia. We recognise their ongoing connection to the land and value their unique contribution to the university and wider Australian society. We pay our respects to Indigenous elders past, present and emerging, and extend this respect to any Indigenous participants joining us online today. Okay, so today's brief presentation is going to cover the following: the benefits of going on exchange. We'll look at a few student stories or testimonials, a few fun facts that you might not know about Scandinavia. We'll touch on our partners and where they are in the region, and we'll look at credit point equivalence and how you get credit back to your La Trobe degree. And lastly, we'll tell you how to connect with us if you wish to apply for exchange, and questions at the end. Okay, the benefits. So I think it's quite obvious, really, the benefits of going on exchange. Who doesn't like travel? But on a personal note, I suppose I've been working in this area for quite a few years, and I'm always amazed to see quiet, shy, insecure students come to my office before they go on exchange. And then when they return, coming in ready to take on the world, feeling confident to do anything. That's just something I see all the time, and it's an absolute personal benefit, I think, for going on exchange. Goes without saying that you immerse yourself in another culture. It's not like you're a tourist just passing through or looking from the outside in. When you go on exchange, you actually live in the country. You are, to all intents and purposes, a student in that country. You go through a number of seasons because it lasts a semester usually. Some exchange even goes for a year. So you see the seasons, you see the cultural festivals, and yeah, it's so much more than being a tourist. Building lifelong connections. You meet students from all over the world. You could be at a partner university with 200 students, exchange students. You might be sharing accommodation with them. And yeah, usually students come back and say, look, I've got friends all over the world that I'm determined to visit in the next few years. We all unconsciously, I suppose, based on our culture, where we've been brought up, have a certain worldview. And when you go on exchange, it really makes you expand your worldview. It challenges you, I think, to look back on your own ideas, perceptions, the way you're brought up, and think, oh, okay, you can do something differently, or maybe this isn't totally the only way to do it or the correct way to do it. So it's a huge learning experience. It's a confidence increasing experience, if you like, and highly recommend it from a personal level. In terms of education and the benefits you get from that, you have a huge range of subjects that La Trobe can only offer a limited amount, and so can any one university. But when you go on exchange, you suddenly have a much more vast array of subjects to choose from. And so you might want to choose your university based on the subjects they offer. For example, in Scandinavia, they're really quite well recognised for their emphasis on the environment and changing their the way they do things in order to have a less of an environmental impact. So you might want, if you're studying environment, you might want to go to Scandinavia and see how they do things. I know when I was there a few years ago, I had never seen so many different types of recycling bins in one place. So the other thing is you might be studying politics, for example, and Scandinavia often has a reputation of being almost a welfare state. Is it correct or not? Don't know, for you to find out. But you might want to go and live in Scandinavia, talk to the locals, ask, does the government run this? Is it a private company? All of those sort of things. So yeah, it just can provide subjects that are really relevant for that particular country and that aren't offered, I suppose, in the context of La Trobe. Of course, you can practice your language skills or learn a new language. Scandinavia, though, is a bit unique in that whether it's the bus driver to the academic, 90% of them can speak English very well. So if you're a little bit nervous about going to a country where English isn't the first language, Scandinavia is a great in-between. If you think, I couldn't go to France, I don't speak any French, and if I wanted to buy something, I wouldn't know how to do it, Scandinavia is the place. Great, for learning, though, if you did want to learn Swedish or Norwegian, of course, mingling with the locals and learning phrases and things is all part of the exchange experience. Professionally, employers these days tell us that if they have two applicants, both very similar background, both got similar marks, but one's been on exchange, they will choose the person that's the applicant that's been on exchange. The reason for that is that it shows a lot about the student. It shows that they have an ability to problem solve. Going on exchange, you will come across problems that you need to, for example, get a new passport if it's been stolen, or find your way from A to Z on a train in a country where you don't speak the language. Lots of things like that will show an employer that you can cope with problem solving. They also want employees that are culturally aware. We live in a multicultural society, and to be able to relate to and understand different cultures is a key skill that we all need to have in the modern world. Obviously, the ability to communicate is something, I suppose you call it a soft skill, and employers do say we want soft skills as well as obviously the skills that your degree brings to a position. But the ability to communicate and get on with people, all of that sort of thing is part of the exchange experience and is really beneficial when you go to apply for jobs. Excuse me. And lastly, going on exchange means that you've got a bit of get up and go, and you can show initiative, and that's what employers want to see as well. All right. The experience of a lifetime. Well, Scandinavia is incredibly exotic. A lot of people do the Central Europe tour, whether it's Kentucky or just travelling on their own. Few get to go to Scandinavia. So this is an exchange is a great opportunity to go to a region that you might never get to again, or you don't think that it's on the usual tourist route. So yeah, consider Scandinavia. Now here's some, I'm just going to play a short video of photos that have been given to us from students returned from the region. Okay, now I've put up some testimonials. We ask when students return from exchange to do a very small report on the things that worked really well and things that didn't work well. And here's some of the comments we got back from students that went to Scandinavia. You can just read those in your own time. But the common theme is challenging yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, all of those things that exchange in general brings. But on top of that, there's some amazing trips that happen. And just as an example, I visited the Trobe student that was in Umeå, which is in the northern part of Sweden, one of our partners, Umeå University. And we met and chatted about how he was going, and then he said, "Look, I'm sorry, but I've got to go. I'm going ice fishing and dog sledding." And I said, "Do you mean ice fishing like in the cartoons where they cut some ice and stick them?" And he said, "Yep, that's what we're doing." So he was going off into the ice and snow to go fishing and dog sledding, and think, well, that's an experience you don't get in many places. Obviously, trips like that are highlights, but when you're in Europe, everything's a short trip. It might be $50 train ride to another country, or maybe a bit longer, but you're so close to everything. There's the country you're studying in, but most students do a trip either before or after their exchange and see the other countries around them. Okay, just some brief facts about Scandinavia. So average temperature of around 22 in summer, which for Australian standards is coolish, but just nice. Obviously you have, especially in the northern part of Scandinavia, a lot of snow. And the currency is Norwegian krone, Danish krone, and Swedish krona, so not the euro, as a lot of people think. Some fun facts. Scandinavia is the world's happiest region, is what they say when they different surveys have done. The Scandinavian people seem to be the most content. It's often right up there in the top. Of course, you've got the fantastic short days and long days, long nights, short nights that happens in the northern part of the Northern Hemisphere. And yeah, Denmark doesn't do mountains. A lot of people think if it's got snow, it must have a lot of mountains, but their tallest is only 170 meters high. And when I was in Sweden, I remember being struck by how much water there was. Rivers, lakes, everywhere, lots of islands. And here's an example. Stockholm is often called the Venice of the North because of all the islands that it has around. Now, this is a map that points out our key partners in Scandinavia, or some of them. Umeå, what I was talking about before, is just up the furthest one up the north there. But if you go to an LMS module, the Trobe Abroad, the Global Student Experience, we actually have an interactive map where you can click on the partners in whatever country you're interested in, and it will take you to the website and show you where the partner is actually located. So often you might have the name of partners, but you have no idea where in the country that partner is located. So this map is really key in helping you find that sort of information out. Okay, so the credit point equivalence. One interesting fact about Scandinavian universities is they usually offer all a semester in block mode. So some of the Trobe degrees have block mode subjects, but for those that don't know, block mode is essentially one subject after the other, not doing all four at once in a semester like we usually do at La Trobe, but you'll do one subject, do the assignment or the examination, whatever it is, then go on to the next subject and do the same until all four are finished in the semester. So a lot of Scandinavian students come to La Trobe and think, oh, how do you do four subjects at once? How do you retain all the information? How do you do four exams in a similar week? So it's just a different way of learning. And I think it's a really interesting way to tackle your studies at university. So they have 30 what they call ECTSs, European Credit Transfer System, credit points equals 60 at La Trobe. So if you think one subject at a university, for example, in Sweden is usually about 7.5, equals a 15 credit point subject at La Trobe. Sometimes you might find that they're offering subjects that are only worth 3 credit points or 3 ECTSs. Now that means that you might need to do 2 subjects that are only worth 3 to make up a 1 La Trobe 15 credit points. So there's usually a little bit of flexibility. If you're half a point out or a point out, it doesn't matter. You'll still get credit for that. Obviously, all subjects have to be approved by a course coordinator in order to go on exchange. Okay, this is how to connect with us. Obviously, you can go through Ask La Trobe. We have Facebook. You can make an appointment via Career Hub. At the moment, due to COVID, it's only by Zoom or phone. But in an ordinary year, you can come and see us face to face. And obviously, we're on the socials of Facebook and Instagram. And the QR code there takes you directly to our website. Thank you for listening, and I hope you consider a university in Scandinavia when you're looking at exchange.